Et imaginez. Imaginez en live jusqu'à 20h50.
They say the Tenryou Commission is directly controlled by the Shogun. They're the ones responsible for maintaining law and order in Inazuma. The ones actually enforcing the Vision Hunt Decree.
Ok.
But why would they take action against one of their own? Paimon doesn't get it. Huh? There seems to be some commotion over there. Let's go see what's happening.
I'll ask one more time. Do you intend to withhold this month's emergency provisions?
The entire clan is counting on that food. We demand an explanation.
How many times do I have to say it? I don't know anything about emergency provisions.
You dare deceive us? Those provisions are essential. Do you understand? Not some goods to be pocketed by greedy samurai.
You samurai think you can just do whatever you please? The Tenryou Commission will hear of this.
Ouais. Genre, oui, bonjour.
And who are you? One of Kurosawa's gang, no doubt.
Bonjour d'abord. Merci beaucoup Atiane pour le sub. Merci, bienvenue du coup. Merci à toi pour le soutien d'aujourd'hui. Magnifique. Tu es le premier sub que je paye sur Twitch, mais incroyable. Mais pourquoi moi du coup? C'est trop cool, merci beaucoup. Incroyable.
We just happened to be passing by. We heard the commotion and came to see what the matter was.
I see. You seem to have come just at the right time. Perhaps you can help us settle this matter.
Bien sûr, évidemment.
This is
On est là pour ça.
Kurosawa. He's a samurai and a member of the Shogun's army. They issue emergency provisions to the area, and he's the one responsible for distribution.
D'accord.
In the past, we'd simply ask him for provisions and everything would be delivered. Now, he suddenly refuses to give us anything.
D'accord. Et il a probablement une explication.
He's keeping the provisions for himself. I just know it. We'll starve without them.
Ah.
No one seems to care about us. We used to think Kurosawa was a kind man, but he's shown his true colors. He's the same as all the other samurai. It's no wonder all the visions have been confiscated. The Raiden Shogun doesn't need people like him helping her rule the nation.
This must be one of the people Ayaka asked us to help. But why would she ever want us to help someone like him? Maybe we should talk to Kurosawa and see what he has to say.
Oui. Très bonne idée, Paimon. En général, c'est mieux de parler aux gens, oui. Du coup, bonsoir. Que se passe-t-il?
I've never even heard of these emergency provisions.
Ah!
I don't know whether it's rumors or whether they're trying to blackmail me. But either way, it's ridiculous. If I was hoarding supplies, would I still be the poor man I am today? My own family can barely get by as it is. Now, if you'll excuse me, I've got other matters to attend to.
J'ai mes chats qui essayent de fouiller dans ma poubelle, là. Ça suffit. La petite poubelle du bureau, ce n'est pas pour les chats. Bon. Du coup, votre œil divin, tout ça, provision d'urgence. Ah, mais peut-être que lui aussi, il a perdu la mémoire, donc il sait pas où sont les provisions d'urgence parce qu'il a perdu la mémoire.
And that's the first bit of truth I've heard all day. The Shogun's army told me that I was unworthy of my vision. And they said I was slacking off in my work. Apparently, I'd even disappointed the Raiden Shogun. And that's why they confiscated my vision.
Ah!
Well, that's strange. You were helping enforce the Vision Hunt Decree. Why would you be unworthy of your vision?
To be perfectly honest, I don't seem to remember the details.
Ah!
All I know is that I would perform certain things every month. But I don't recall what they were.
Bah, les fameuses provisions d'urgence, du coup.
And it's not just that. I have this unsettling feeling, like someone owes me something.
Does it have to do with the missing emergency provisions?
Sûrement, oui.
I didn't take any. Like I said, if I was taking them for myself, I wouldn't be going through such hard times right now.
Oui, donc en fait, personne n'a les provisions d'urgence parce qu'il se souvient même plus où est l'entrepôt, quoi.
To top it all off, my house was just raided by treasure hoarders, which is why I came here in the first place. I was chasing after them when I got held up by these two. If you don't believe me, go find the treasure hoarders yourself. If there were any emergency provisions to be had, they would have found them.
Ok.
He seems to be telling the truth. But we better confirm. Let's go round up those treasure hoarders and see what they have to say. We should be able to follow their tracks. They couldn't have gone too far.
Bon, on a quand même discuté pendant 10 minutes, mais bref. On va voir. Ok. Bon. Rendez-vous chez Kurosawa. Du coup, il est là-bas? Il a l'air d'être là-bas. Empêcher les pilleurs de trésors. Où sont-ils? Ils sont là. C'est vrai qu'ils sont très discrets. Hein.
We really outdid ourselves this time. All those samurai houses packed with goods. We really hit the jackpot. I mean, besides that one house.
You haven't seen anything yet. There'll be a lot more where this came from. Today's just the beginning. I'll be leading you all on an epic journey of pillage and plunder that will go down in hoarder history.
Super.
You're the man, boss.
These seem like the treasure hoarders were.
Non, sans blague.
Let's teach him a lesson.
Non, sans blague. Ok. Bonsoir. Toutes mes excuses, mais vous avez volé des trucs, c'est plutôt compliqué. Du coup, malheureusement... Bon. J'ai même pas le temps de finir mon discours, il meurt trop vite.
We worked hard to steal that, you know?
On a travaillé dur pour voler tout ça. Bah bien sûr.
Come on, boss. Think of something.
Not bad, kid. You ever think of joining the treasure hoarders? We could use someone like you.
Non. Non.
Kurosawa. Oh, I remember.
Ok.
So he's the one who sent you after us, huh? Just our luck. I knew he shouldn't have hit that place.
So what did you see inside? Was it stuffed with food supplies?
S'il y avait des vivres.
Food supplies? You kidding? That place was a complete mess. All we found was a strange-looking box, hopefully with valuables inside. I didn't want anyone else to see it, so I was planning on opening it myself once we got back.
Ah bon?
But now that you've caught us, how about we make a deal? That little box for our freedom. What do you say?
Oh,
You've got
pardon.
a deal.
Je lui ai coupé
Now
la
show
parole.
us what's in the box.
Ok. Ok. On peut faire ça. Merci Bruchan pour les 18 mois.
Bonjour Marie tout le monde, comment allez-vous?
Merci beaucoup.
Huh?
Hein?
What the?
Hein?
There's nothing in here but IOUs.
Ah!
Yeah, a lot of them too.
Ah!
They all seem to be made out to the owner of a general goods store, a Miss Oeil. We're talking tons of Mora here. We better talk to this Miss Oeil and get to the bottom of this. As for you guys, you're free to go. Just pray that our paths don't cross again.
Elle me bute
Yes,
Paimon.
of course.
So, we redeemed ourselves for some IOUs. Does that mean we broke even?
Shut it. Let's just get out of here.
Super! Ils ont volé des reconnaissances de dette. Ok. Alors, on va parler à la dame de l'épicerie. Comment tu peux avoir des reconnaissances de dette à l'épicerie? Genre tu pars sans payer? Ou alors la dame te dit paye plus tard et tu payes jamais? C'est possible. Alors toutes les petites quêtes bleues pour l'instant je les fais pas parce que flemme. Sinon là ça fait trop de trucs à faire. Trop de trucs. Ok. J'aime trop ce village en vrai, il est trop beau. J'avais débloqué le TP, oui. J'aurais pu y aller beaucoup plus rapidement, mais bref. Ah! Épicerie. Alors.
Welcome to Tsukumomono Groceries. We've got everything.
Cesse de
you
déblatérer
need.
des bêtises
Can
et
I help you
abreuve-toi.
find something?
J'ai encore du café. J'ai encore 2 gorgées de café. Oh, mais il est après 16h30. Normalement, je dois pas boire de café après 16h30, mais bref.
Or perhaps there's something you want to inquire about?
Ok. Terminer le café à 16h51. Bon, de toute façon, je me couche un peu tard en ce moment, mais bon.
Ah, so you're friends of Kurosawa, I take it. Perhaps you're here to pay off his debts.
Combien?
get ahead of ourselves. We're just here to learn where they all came from. How did Kurosawa end up owing you so much money? Did he buy anything super expensive here?
Let me think. Kurosawa would come regularly to purchase large quantities of foodstuffs. He'd always put the payment on his own account.
Ah, c'est lui qui créait les emergency supplies. En fait, ça n'existait pas. Ça n'existait pas, c'est lui qui les créait et qui les donnait aux gens. En fait, c'était quelqu'un de bien. Mais du coup, maintenant qu'il a plus de mémoire, il savait plus qu'il faisait ça.
However, the price of provisions began to skyrocket recently, and his salary was no longer enough to cover the cost. So, he started writing out IOUs to cover whatever he couldn't afford of the usual amount.
So that's how he was getting those emergency provisions. But why did he have to purchase a usual amount? If the prices increased, couldn't he just buy less?
Ouais, mais il y avait toujours autant de gens, du coup.
Well, if you think about it, the citizens receiving the emergency provisions must have been carefully calculating how much they needed to sustain them each time. Kurosawa thought that it would be quite the disappointment for them if they found they didn't have enough, especially after such long and careful planning. So he deemed it necessary to take on the debt rather than let the people down.
Trop mignon.
Wow. Kurosawa was purchasing all the emergency provisions at his own expense. And no one ever appreciated what he did. They just complained and held him accountable.
Ah, mais oui, mais parce qu'il savait pas. Il savait pas que c'était lui qui faisait
People's
ça.
attitudes will always reflect their circumstances. In the face of hardship, nobody cares to think twice.
Oh, ils te mettent des citations de tarés en plein milieu d'un dialogue d'une quête secondaire, ça me détruit. Hein. L'attitude des gens est toujours un reflet de leur situation. Mais ils te mettent une citation de taré comme ça, juste en plein milieu de phrase avec une épice. Non mais c'est fou quand même. C'est fou.
If you ask me, had Kurosawa told everyone the truth about the supplies from the start, then there wouldn't be such a severe backlash now.
C'est vrai.
Of course, I'm sure there would still have been some unrest. What he was doing was truly a thankless deed. As for why he chose to spend his own money on emergency provisions and never tell anyone, I'm still not too clear myself.
Peut-être y en a un des deux, c'est son fils ou un truc comme
If
ça.
you're still curious, why don't you go ask him yourself?
Bah oui, bah il s'en souvient pas,
I
évidemment. Hein.
see. That reminds me, it seems that his vision was recently confiscated. Most unfortunate. If he doesn't clear the debt on his name, he'll have no choice but to sell that sword that is so dear to him.
Ah,
Sword?
son épée?
What sword?
Oh, didn't he tell you? He possesses a very valuable blade. He's
Ah.
carried it for years now.
Bah oui, mais le pauvre.
I've asked him about its origins. He told me that it was a gift from his father, that it was too precious to sell. In
Okay.
hindsight, I regret that I never made an offer on it. Everything has its price, at least that's what I think. Why don't you ask him about the sword yourself? Perhaps it'll even provide you with the answers you're looking for.
Ah, mais on peut pas lui faire vendre l'épée quand même.
Oh, but before you go, if you would kindly settle today's bill.
Pardon.
But we didn't buy anything.
Information is also a kind of commodity, wouldn't you agree?
Ah bon? Ah bah sympa, madame. Combien?
Don't worry, I won't charge much for information about Kurosawa. Nothing we ever discussed was explicitly confidential anyway. Oh, let me think. 2,000 mora should be a fair price.
2000? Bon, ça correspond à quoi? On a des millions et des millions, ça correspond à 20 balles. Bon.
At least we now know where the emergency provisions are coming from. Plus, we found out that Kurosawa has a priceless sword in his possession.
Qui ne peut pas vendre.
Let's go talk to Kurosawa again and see if he can remember anything.
Ok. Oh, les quêtes FedEx, je vous jure. Vraiment. Mais on veut rencontrer la patronne. Ok, mais du coup, il faut aider 3 personnes. Et du coup, la deuxième personne, il a eu des épées, machin, il a pas de souvenirs. Tu sens que c'est du FedEx, quoi. Après, Ça va. Ça va. Ça pourrait être fait en pire. Mais ça va. Je veux lui parler. Oui, merci.
What are you doing here all by yourself? Where did those other two go?
I presented them with a choice. Either they left or I drew my sword.
Ah!
They left.
Ah bon?
It turned out to be a real time saver, actually. Perhaps I should start using it more often.
Oui, mais c'est dangereux, ça.
Did you manage to track down the treasure hoarders? Everything I said was true, right?
Ouais. Alors, ouais.
That just about sums it up. It turns out that you really were distributing emergency provisions, but they were all purchased at your own expense.
Strange. Is that really the kind of person I was?
Visiblement, oui. Merci, Clo-Clo, pour le deuxième mois.
Marie-Love,
Merci
Marie-Love.
beaucoup. Merci. Ouais, non, c'est vrai, c'est bien raconté, mais... Ok, après, c'est moins FedEx. Parce que j'aime bien, les quêtes FedEx, c'est sympa de temps en temps, mais parfois, faut taper, là. Et là, en une demi-heure, on a tapé qu'une fois, ils sont morts en 20 secondes, c'est terrible.
I don't really have any such recollection. Even after all you've told me, I still don't remember anything. Why was I purchasing emergency provisions for everyone? And why would I put myself in such a difficult situation? I really don't understand.
Ouais, moi non plus, non.
But I cannot deny that when I brandished my sword to scare those two away, I could sense that my body was somehow reluctant to do so.
Ouais, cette épée,
This
là.
sword was once wielded by my father.
Ah, donc ça, il s'en souvient.
I remember once when I was young, I wanted to sneak out with the blade and show it off to the kids next door. My father ended up catching me in the act and scolded me severely. What did he say? I can't seem to remember that either.
Ok.
It would seem that I forgot many important things when my vision was taken from me. So many memories gone. Forever. No matter how hard I try to remember.
Terrible.
All I can
Terrible.
remember now is my father telling me that this blade bore his life's creed. Before he passed away, he placed the sword in my hands
Ouais, donc non, on peut vraiment pas vendre l'épée, hein.
and said to me, "With this sword, you should."
Hey, if you look carefully, there seems to be some words engraved on the hilt. Can you recognize the words?
Vertu et justice. Ok.
Virtue and justice? Somehow those two words seem to explain everything now. Taking on seemingly endless debts to make others happy. I guess that must have been my greatest ambition after all. But what use are virtue and justice? I purchased the provisions for those in
Doucement,
need,
Zoom, doucement.
and look how things ended up.
Le Zoom est un petit peu énervé, là.
The Tenryo Commission seized my vision, and the very people I was so desperately trying to help refused to understand me. And the irony of all of it is, I somehow still felt sorry when threatening them with my blade.
Mort. C'est un good guy.
I'm incapable of being a good person, yet I'm equally unable to be bad. I don't know what to do with myself.
C'est une très bonne question.
Yet another troubled soul.
Mais on n'est pas psy, les gars, on n'est pas psy.
Get the chance. Let's speak to Toma about Kurosawa's debt. The Yashiro Commission would surely help cover his expenses.
Non.
In any case, we must never let him sell off that sword.
Oui, on est d'accord, ça.
Yeah. Seems like losing all ambition is a terrible experience. Fortunately for us, you don't have a vision.
Oui, c'est vrai.
Let's go find the next poor soul.
C'est trop bizarre. Genre vraiment, là, c'est en mode, c'est bon, vous avez terminé. Let's go, next person et tout. Bah non. Bah non. Le mec, il est brisé, là. Non. Je ne comprends pas. Est-ce que vraiment, on a résolu le truc Da fuck. J'entends pas bien les voix. Ah ouais? Le son est pas assez fort? Moi, depuis le début, on me dit que ça va. Mais peut-être que je peux monter un peu le son comme vous voulez. Ça dépend de... Peut-être que c'est parce que t'as un casque ou t'as des écouteurs ou j'en sais rien, mais moi on m'a pas dit que les...
The third person who had their vision taken is supposed to be a famous sword master around these parts.
Moi je vois que les voix elles sont bien plus basses que d'habitude, mais les gens m'ont dit que c'était trop fort avant, donc... Son nickel. Ok, parce qu'il est 30% plus bas que d'habitude. Un peu plus fort dérangera pas. Ouais, je sais pas. Je peux monter un tout petit peu. Genre je monte de 10%.
Paimon heard that he's the present-day master of Meikyo Shisui art. Sounds pretty impressive. This is his dojo. Luckily, there's some people around. Let's go talk to them.
Nanako, don't worry. Sensei will be fine. Those thugs that challenged the dojo were strong, but he fought them all off in the end, didn't he?
C'est mieux ou pareil ou trop fort du coup?
Maybe, but I'm still worried about him. Things have gotten dangerous before in the past, but it's never shaken him. This time, though...
It's just because he's been possessed, that's all. Once the exorcism has taken place, he'll be right as rain in no time.
Attends quoi? Oh, c'est juste... Finalement, hein? Il a juste le démon. Il a juste été possédé, hein? Une fois que l'exorcisme... Pardon? Hein?
Hey there! Did something happen?
J'ai lu les dialogues à moitié et genre je suis revenue sur cette phrase. Pardon? Comment ça, exorcisme... Quoi?
I don't care whether you're trespassers or just here to harass us while Sensei is impaired. Get out of here immediately!
Alors...
Don't make me draw my blade, or you won't live to regret it.
Alors... Doucement, doucement. Bonjour d'abord, hein?
No, you got it so wrong. We just came here to...
Pour devenir des disciples, évidemment, oui.
Disciples.
Bien sûr.
Yep. We've heard all about the mighty master of Meikyo Shisui art. It's the whole reason we came all this way, to seek him out and ask him to train us.
Bien sûr.
But then we got here and overheard you talking about how he got possessed or something?
Ouais.
From the way you're dressed, it doesn't look like you're from around here.
Non, sans blague.
Please, accept my apologies. We've had so many people trying to cause us trouble recently that we're on high alert. You haven't arrived at the best of times, I'm afraid. Sensei got possessed recently, and he's still recovering. He's not able to take on any new disciples for the time being.
Je ne partirai pas avant d'avoir pu l'appeler maître. Doucement, tu ne le connais pas, doucement.
I see you are earnest in your pursuit. Okay, how about this? My fellow disciple Nanako and I will explain Sensei's situation to you in a little more detail. Then you can decide whether to stay or to leave.
Ok.
Sensei's name is Domon, a name I'm sure you've already heard.
Oui, bien sûr. Tous les jours j'entends ce... Oui, bien sûr.
Though self-taught, he mastered the art of the sword to a high level. He then proceeded to defeat many other prominent sword masters. never
Marie-Lurk,
losing a single
Marie-Lurk,
fight.
Marie-Lurk.
Merci Loops, merci pour le resub. Merci beaucoup.
He once said that his goal was to become the best sword master in the world.
Oui, bien sûr.
And so, even while training us, he continued to hone his own art. His fervor truly inspired us, and we trained hard, determined to keep up with him. But then...
Not long ago, Sensei had his vision taken away. He hasn't been the same since.
Uh-huh.
He says the strangest things over and over, and he refuses to let us train. Junya and I have discussed it, and we both think that he's been possessed by an evil spirit. So we've asked the shrine maidens from the Grand Narukami Shrine to perform an exorcism.
Ça me détruit vraiment. Ah, il se sent pas bien et tout, il est un peu sénile, tout ça, donc il est forcément possédé par le démon. Pardon.
But if I'm honest, I still have my doubts over whether he'll completely recover.
The Grand Narukami Shrine? What's that?
You haven't heard of it? It's the largest shrine on Narukami Island. The head shrine maiden is reputed to have very close ties with the almighty shogun herself.
Trop stylé. C'est là-haut?
Not that we'd have any means of involving the head shrine maiden, of course. But even one of the ordinary shrine maidens from the Grand Narukami Shrine would have clear power and authority to perform an exorcism.
Non mais faut arrêter avec votre exorcisme, c'est faut
So
arrêter.
don't worry, Nanako. Sensei is going to be just fine.
Ouais.
The exorcism will take place this evening. You're both more than welcome to come and watch if you're interested.
Ouais, super. On va assister à l'exorcisme.
So,
Ouais.
losing your vision can cause possession?
Non.
Guess we should come back this evening and see for ourselves.
Non, non, c'est clairement pas ça, mais... Mais ok. Attendez la nuit du rituel. Non mais c'est incroyable. Il va y avoir de l'exorcisme, genre là, vraiment. Incroyable. Eh ouais.
So you decided to come. It's a good thing you didn't arrive any earlier. You would have had to witness Sensei one of his fits of madness.
Ah oui, mince, attends, c'est pas la nuit, là.
Just now, when Nanako was attending to him, she heard him whispering a few names to himself. When she asked him who the people were, he suddenly looked panic-stricken and pushed her away. It looked like he was in great distress. He was covering his ears and looking frantically around him with bloodshot eyes. All the while he kept calling those names. Some of them we knew, others we didn't recognize. But they all seemed to be the names of sword masters he had defeated in the past.
Ok. D'accord. Ah non, non, jamais j'ai pas fait Natlan, je fais vraiment dans l'ordre. Je préfère faire dans l'ordre que me spoil, parce que si je vais directement à Natlan, je pense que je pigerai rien et ça va me spoil certains trucs. Donc je fais vraiment tout dans l'ordre. Donc j'y serai pas, à mon avis, avant 2025, vu le temps que ça prend. Mais doucement, mais sûrement, j'y arriverai.
One of them was Anzai. He used to be a fellow disciple of Sensei's. His senior, in fact. But Sensei defeated him in a duel many years ago. And he has been a wanderer ever since.
D'accord.
Sensei wouldn't stop calling his name. Thankfully, the shrine maidens managed to subdue him. So the exorcism can finally continue.
Non mais, ils abusent avec
The
ça.
ritual has now begun. All we can do is patiently await the result. Here's hoping Sensei will be back to his normal self very soon.
On peut y assister ou pas à
Please, excuse
l'exorcisme?
me for a moment while I fetch some water. If he wakes up, he is sure to be thirsty.
Bien sûr. Bien sûr. Cyril est d'accord. Hein? Attends, c'est le gars de tout à l'heure, ça, non? Non, 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 rien à voir. Rien à voir, c'est un autre, ça.
Who's that sneaking around? Uh-oh. Could they be here to mess up the exorcism? We won't
C'est
let
qui,
them get
lui?
away with it. Come on, let's go after them.
Mais oui, je sais pas qui c'était, Cyril. Je sais pas qui c'était, tu sais, toi? Dis-le au chat. Dis-le au chat, comme ça, regarde. Il va saboter l'exorcisme, Cyril. Tu te rends compte? Tu te rends compte? Miaou.
I still have a lot to do with the guild. How about you take a rest while I go back?
Miaou ou pas miaou? Miaou? Tu veux pas faire la star? Non, elle veut pas. Alors. Suivez les traces de l'individu louche. Cyril l'exorciste.
Seems they aren't here. Should we keep going further up?
Ok, nous pouvons monter plus haut. Mhm.
Is this definitely the right place? Let's
Ah.
look a little further up.
C'est quoi ça? Ah ça j'ai toujours pas compris ce que c'était. Non, Gyrocristal Radiant 49. Aucune idée de ce que c'est. Peut-être que ce sera plus tard, mais...
Suspicious person sighted.
Ah, pardon, Payaman, je t'ai coupé la parole.
How did you catch up with me so quickly?
Parce que vous êtes lent.
Are you sure you're Domon's disciples? You move even quicker
Non,
than
par
he
contre, le
does.
micro, Cyril. Le micro...
Unless... I guess it's been a few years. Maybe his skills have improved again.
Excuse me? We're the ones asking the questions here. First off, who are you? And what are you doing sneaking around these parts? You seem like bad news, mister.
Elle me bute.
Bad news? I'll have you know I trained side by side with Domon back in the day. long before you ever showed up.
Mais il a exactement la même gueule que l'autre de tout à l'heure, on est d'accord. Il a juste les cheveux plus courts et pas de barbe, mais c'est vraiment le même modèle.
I don't care to talk about that time anymore. But if you must know, I am Domon Senior.
D'accord.
A senior? Wait, that means you must be...
Anzai? Yes, that's me.
D'accord.
Because I don't wish to see Domon or anyone else associated with him ever again.
Mais du coup, pourquoi
When we were young, we trained under the same sword master,
revenir?
studying Make Yoshi Sui art together. I had begun training 5 years before him, and everyone looked up to me as a steady and dependable older disciple. Practitioners of Make Yoshi Sui art seek to achieve stillness of mind, freedom from all agitation. So the majority of disciples are indifferent to rank and reward. I was no exception.
D'accord.
But Domon was different. The first thing he did when he joined was go straight to our sensei and ask him, with a beaming smile on his face, how to become the best in the world.
Bah, moi j'aime bien cette mentalité. J'aime bien. Totalement.
Sensei scolded him and told him that the art of the sword should not be used for such vain ends. Sensei said that coveting the title of the best sword master, barely days into his training, showed that he had a fickle mind, and that this would impede him from ever mastering the blade.
D'accord.
I thought so too at the time, but Domon began making swift progress in his training, and even started catching up with me. Only then did I realize that it was Domon who had long since freed his mind from all agitation.
Oh, c'est beau, c'est beau. Pour progresser, il faut vider son esprit, évidemment.
He was consumed by his singular desire to become the best in the world. He sought nothing less than perfection in the art of the sword, and nothing could deter him from this goal, no matter...
Pardon,
sounds
je lui ai coupé
like
la
he
parole. Mais
meant
tu parles beaucoup
business.
aussi.
So how come you don't want to ever see him again?
J'aime pas couper la parole au PNJ, mais bon, on a compris, il est meilleur que toi, du coup t'es parti, pourquoi tu reviens?
Because until he arrived, I was convinced that I would succeed our sensei as the master of Make Yoshi Sui art.
Ouais.
Of all the disciples, I was the most gifted. I had trained the longest. Everyone had high expectations from me. Domon's arrival changed everything. When we sparred, I lost not just the match, but my pride and my status too.
Oh là là.
I fled the dojo that day and never looked back.
Ok, je suis pas fan de toi. Hein.
Later, I heard that he sparred with Sensei too. Sensei was advanced in years by then, and unfortunately that match used up every last ounce of energy in his body. After that, I wanted nothing further to do with him. Deep down, though, I still respected his mastery of the blade and his commitment to the art of the sword.
D'accord.
So, when I heard rumors that he had lost his mind, my first reaction was to dismiss them as false. How could he, of all people, have lost his mind? His mind was the sharpest of them all. He had practiced Make Yoshi Sui art to perfection. I decided to quietly come and see if it were true. Then, to my complete astonishment, I heard him call my name. I thought mine was a name he had long since forgotten. So you see,
Ouais.
I came here not to cause him any harm. I just wanted to see for myself.
D'accord.
Okay, you've heard my story. You should get back now. The exorcism is probably finishing.
Seems like we got it wrong this time. He wasn't here to mess up the exorcism at all.
Ouais, enfin il est chelou quand même, mais bon.
Still, Paimon's not sure we should bring him back with us. Let's go see how the exorcism's coming along.
Et bah elle était longue cette cinématique pour que juste ils disent oui je suis revenu mais je suis parti mais machin mais d'accord ouais oui. Du coup oui. Bonjour à ceux qui arrivent, peut-être qu'il y en a qui arrivent pendant le live. Si jamais effectivement l'épisode qui est sorti sur YouTube, c'était il y a 6 semaines. Depuis on a bien avancé. On a bien avancé totalement. Marie découvre le jeu même si elle pose des questions. Question avec un S. On dit rien sauf si vraiment elle le demande explicitement. Elle est déjà à Inazuma il y a 6 semaines avec un S aussi. Entre la rediff sur YouTube maintenant. C'est mignon. En vrai, c'est vraiment pas de souci de répéter. Enfin, je sais que les modos vous répétez beaucoup aussi, mais c'est les gens, le message épinglé sur Twitch. Il y en a qui arrivent de YouTube et tout et qui lisent pas forcément les messages épinglés. C'est pas grave. Je peux comprendre que ce soit confusant, mais oui, effectivement, on est déjà à Inazuma, ouais.
You're saying he isn't possessed? Does that mean he's just lost his mind? But how is that
Mais il est
possible?
sénile, c'est tout, hein.
No, I refuse to believe it. Something's clearly wrong.
Bah après non, c'est pas qu'il est sénile, c'est qu'on lui a enlevé la vision, tout ça, non.
Monaco, please. Try not to get agitated.
I am sorry. With what powers I have, I can find no sign of any malignant spirit having possessed Domon. But spirits may take a myriad of forms in this world, many of which I cannot claim to have witnessed myself. Thus, I dare not rule out possession with complete certainty. And all is certainly not lost, for I received word not long ago that Lady Yai has taken an interest in your sensei's case.
Lady Yai? Is that the same Lady Yai that I think you mean?
The head shrine maiden of the Grand Narukami Shrine? That's wonderful news! Then Sensei will be sure to recover.
Oui, bien sûr.
Correct. Lady Yai is most knowledgeable indeed, and has abundant experience in the exorcism of evil spirits and aversion of great calamities. I am
D'accord.
unable to say for certain whether an evil spirit has possessed your sensei, but Lady Yai can give a conclusive verdict.
Mais 100% c'est pas ça, hein.
Excuse me, Miss Inagi, but I must ask, should we prepare a greeting gift for Lady Yai?
Oh pitié, non, sinon Paimon elle va vouloir refaire la cuisine.
That won't be necessary.
Ah merci.
All that is required of you is your timely arrival at the Grand Narukami Shrine. Lady Yai does not like to be kept waiting.
Pas de souci. Ah donc c'est là-haut. Vu la vision de la caméra, c'est que c'est là-haut.
I must leave now, but we will meet soon at the shrine. I wish Domon a full and speedy recovery.
Ok.
Who'd have thought Lady Yai herself would have taken notice of our sensei's case?
Do you mean to say that Sensei isn't renowned enough to deserve Lady Yai's attention?
No, that's not what I meant at all. You misunderstand me. I just mean this is Lady Yai, the head shrine maiden. She has direct and close contact with the almighty Shogun herself.
Oui.
Anyway, you should join us too, tomorrow.
Évidemment.
Given that you've traveled all this way just to meet our sensei, we, the disciples of Meikyo Shisui Art, will do our best to help you.
Bien sûr, on serait ravis, évidemment. On est venu là juste pour le sensei, bien sûr, évidemment. Oui, bien sûr.
After all, everyone seems pretty excited about Lady Yai. We're curious to meet her too. Who knows? Maybe we'll be able to find out a thing or two about the Raiden children from her.
C'est vrai. Exactement. Ok, le chemin d'un épéiste. Rendez-vous au sanctuaire de Narukami. Qui est donc là-haut. Attends, je vérifie. En théorie, c'est ça, hein. Il est là-haut. Effectivement. Pourquoi j'ai déjà le TP? Non, c'est pas le TP. J'ai pas le TP pour aller au cerisier, on n'y est pas allé. Non, c'est téléporté au Mont Yogu, donc c'est à côté. Ok. Eh bien, allons-y. Qu'est-ce que tu penses des musiques du jeu? J'aime trop les musiques du jeu. Elles sont vraiment toutes super sympas. Par contre, le truc, c'est que... le problème que j'ai avec les musiques du jeu, c'est que j'ai l'impression qu'il y en a certaines qui sont copyright. J'ai un de mes live Twitch qui a été copyright. Il y a une musique de Genshin qui passait pas. Et en fait, je me dis peut-être que sur YouTube, il y en a qui passeront pas non plus. Ah, mais en fait, en faisant de l'explo, j'étais montée tout là-haut. Et effectivement, là-haut, c'est... Bah, en fait, j'étais déjà allée. J'ai juste voulu explorer l'île pour débloquer tous les TP. Normalement, je l'ai fait. Et j'ai pas débloqué tous les trucs de bateau, par contre. Mais du coup... Ah, il y a des trucs là aussi. Matrice mécanique perpétuelle. Ok. On n'y est pas encore. Attends, ça a l'air d'être... Ah, c'est sous-marin. C'est sous-marin. Ruine niveau -2. Oula, doucement, doucement. Non, on n'y est pas encore. C'était sous-marin. Alors. C'était juste... Non. Ah, mais il est là, le cerisier, en fait. Ok, j'avais même pas remarqué. Oh, il est grave stylé. Oh là là, mais qu'est-ce qu'il est beau ce jeu. Il a une espèce de tête de renard. Bon courage, force à toi. Hein? Pourquoi?
Do you think that's Lady Ai?
Quoi?
Oh, no wonder Junior is so excited. She has a really striking presence.
Force à toi, good luck. Quoi?
Also, is it just Paimon? Or did she look right at us just now?
Elle est trop cute.
It was probably nothing. It's not like she's ever seen us before.
Keep away. Keep away from me.
Ah oui, non, effectivement, il a l'air un peu tourmenté, le monsieur, là.
I gave up the art of the sword. Please, let me go, I beg you.
As you can see, Lady Yai,
Ouais.
Dawn has persisted in this state for some time now. He appears to see those who have lost to him in duels past, gathered all around him to persecute him.
D'accord.
Lady Ai, it must be a possession, right? This is nothing like him at all. In the past, no matter what came his way, he would always face it with a confident smile.
Attends, mon chat, il me fait peur, là.
I'm sorry.
Qu'est-ce qui
It
se
occurred
passe?
to me that your sensei is not possessed by any evil spirit. But then does that mean he... yes. This is a change in the person himself. Unable to cope with the tremendous pressure he was under, he suffered a spiritual collapse. With his wits impaired, he finally descended into madness. As one who is thrown into the sea, though he fights back desperately against his predicament, it does nothing to prevent his descent into the depths.
D'accord.
As for what has triggered this change, I believe it must be the loss of his vision.
Non, sans blague.
For to be stripped of one's vision is to be stripped of one's ambition.
Stripped of his ambition? But Lady Yai, even without his ambition, why should he suffer such a dramatic change? How does that explain his descent into madness?
Your school practices Meikyo Shisui art, does it not?
Ils vont m'apprendre à faire du yoga, c'est ça le délire?
Stillness of mind, freedom from all agitation. What a fine notion that would be if any in this world could ever hope to achieve it. There was once one who claimed to be indifferent to rank and reward, and who fled enraged when defeated by his junior. And then there was an aged swordmaster who was aggrieved enough that he crossed blades with a disciple he himself had taught. Then,
Je regarde le
what
chat
of the
parce
one
que
who
je suis
crossed
curieuse, mais
blades
du
with
coup,
his own
attends.
sensei and beloved fellow disciple, and defeated them both? Can one truly remain unagitated, of still mind in moments such as these? Lady I'm not sure I understand. The path of the sword master is filled with twists and turns. It is no small undertaking to pursue the position of greatest sword master in the world.
Non, sans blague.
It requires one to take their sword firmly in both hands and cut down the hopes and dreams of others, even those of one's closest companions. Only a deep commitment to his ambition to become the best made it possible for him to rise above the pain of these encounters, to focus on the way ahead.
Elle est trop stylée, elle. On peut la jouer ou pas?
When that ambition disappeared, he began to
Ah
doubt
oui,
himself.
elle a un truc d'électricité.
As he battled his
Donc j'imagine
growing
que oui.
anxiety, he slowly descended into the state you see him in now.
En général, quand ils ont un élément sur eux, c'est qu'on peut les jouer, j'imagine. Ouais? Ah, c'est une 5 étoiles aussi? Oh, décidément. Décidément. Ah, elle est trop stylée. Après, ça se trouve, ses spells sont nuls, mais... En tout cas, elle est trop belle.
Much like a certain fatally flawed friend of mine.
Ah.
Poor sensei. To think he's been suffering so greatly.
I'm sorry. It's all my fault. Father, Sensei, Ansai.
Mais t'inquiète, on va t'exorciser, nous.
That's enough.
Ah!
Huh? Isn't that Ansai? Where did he come from? Did he follow us the whole way here?
Ansai, why are there two of you? Is that you or a ghost?
Ok, j'avoue, il est peut-être possédé en fait. Mais comment il parle?
You're here for revenge, aren't you? I knew it would come. I never should have.
You're right to assume that my feelings towards you are far from kindly. But I didn't come here to settle a score. It's been so long now that I made peace with it years ago. You did nothing wrong that day. I couldn't face the humiliation. That's why I ran.
Oh, c'est bon, t'as perdu un duel, tu vas t'en remettre, hein?
I don't think most of the people you beat along the way would hold it against you. On the contrary, when you cut our ambitions short, we entrusted them to you, in the hopes that they might carry you further.
Wow.
Now I know that we can't place our hopes in you any longer, since you've been stripped of your ambitions too. But that is no reason to strip them of theirs. Follow the way of the sword all the way to the highest peak. You taught them that, didn't you?
Wow.
But what if one day, the same thing happens to them? I put everything I had into trying to become the best. But what if it was all a huge mistake right from the start?
Oh, la philo qu'il y a dans ce jeu, c'est terrible, là. Là, les trois petites quêtes, là, philosophie-land, hein. Doucement, doucement, je sais pas, est-ce que c'est une erreur de vouloir être le meilleur? Est-ce qu'il faut pas poursuivre une vie simple? Est-ce que c'est beau d'avoir de l'ambition? Qu'est-ce qu'on en sait? Même en 4 heures, on pourrait pas répondre.
If there's a chance they'll end up like me one day, I'd rather they stay where they are now than go any further down this path.
Have you asked them what they think?
Sensei, after you rescued me from the hands of the pirates, I told myself I would follow in your footsteps for the rest of my days.
Wow.
I can't know whether I will suffer in my future as you do now. All I know is that here and now, in the present, I wish to continue.
C'est beau, c'est beau.
I want to keep going until the day that I can stand before everyone with my head held high and announce that I, like my sensei Domon before me, am a master of Meikyo Shisui art.
Nanako's far from the only one. Actually, all of us think that way.
Bien sûr.
Goodness. Well,
You see? You can place the ambition you once had in their hands.
Vous m'avez dit courage parce que la cinématique elle dure 8 ans.
Being stripped of your ambition is something that's never happened to me, so I can't claim to understand it. But I do know what it feels like to have your ambitions crushed. That's what happened on the day that you so effortlessly defeated me. So, just as I once placed my ambitions onto you, it is time for you to release yours into their custody. You are not in the same position that I was. When I left, I had nothing to my name. But you have a great number of worthy disciples.
I understand.
Uh-huh.
I'm sorry to have made you worry for me, and for the state of Meikyo Shisui art. I no longer have the resolve to become the best in the world. The emptiness and suffering inside of me will not abate, so I cannot hope to still my mind and be free of agitation.
Bah yes. Super. C'est trop triste, mais soit.
But as your sensei, I shall commit to imparting unto you everything I have learned in my life so far. This is my promise, and I humbly ask Anzai, my senior, to hold me to my word.
Bien sûr.
You can count on that. I'd be checking in on you occasionally anyway, just to make sure you hadn't lost your mind again.
Oh bah ça allait vite, hein, franchement. Vraiment, ça fait 3 semaines que le mec, il en peut plus. Il est en mode, oh mon dieu, je suis possédé, je suis possédé. Juste une conversation avec un pote, et au final, ah mais non. Je me sens bien, en fait. Non, vraiment, bon.
But I am now used to the life of a wanderer. I do not belong in the dojo anymore, so I will simply stop by once in a while to make sure you aren't cutting any corners with them. Well, don't just stand there staring at me. Say thank you to Lady Yai and then get yourself back home.
D'accord. Oh, il est beau le plan. Oh, avec le soleil, il est beau le plan. Les disciples de l'école remercient la grande prêtresse et se retournent avant de
So
partir.
even though his ambition was taken away, his disciples can take it over on his behalf. Guess that sort of solves this one, huh?
Ouais, alors vraiment, les 3 quêtes, elles ont été résolues avec de grands guillemets, hein.
Traveler, a moment, please. Lady Yai has some words for you.
Mais je pense qu'on a assez parlé, non?
So, my intuition was correct. The wind that blows from afar carries fresh life to these shores. For us to meet now is premature.
Ah.
Nevertheless, you set foot on these islands at precisely the right moment.
Ah bon? Tu vas montrer comment on fait avec le cerisier? Montre-moi le cerisier. Laisse-moi
I
cliquer.
have high hopes for you, child. Don't disappoint me.
Hein? Ça te dit de parler sans les énigmes ou... Non?
Ooh, Lady Yai seems to have taken a real interest in you.
Super.
She seems super mysterious. Paimon's so curious what she really meant by all that. We can come back to it another time.
Ah,
For
ok.
now, we should go report back to Miss Kamisato.
Ah, donc on la suit pas, elle? Non? Retournez à la demeure de Kamisato. Ah non. Non, vous m'avez parlé, il y a un truc avec Ea, mais j'imagine que c'est pas maintenant. J'imagine que ce n'est pas maintenant, du coup. Attends, il y a plein de fleurs de cerisier et on est juste devant le cerisier, là. J'aimerais bien savoir ce qu'il fait. Est-ce qu'il y a d'autres choses? Ok, non mais vraiment, ces 3 quêtes, elles étaient cheloues, hein. C'était un peu bizarre, en mode ouais, t'as résolu le truc, ouais. Il va pas bien, mais voilà. AR39, tu vas être large pour longtemps, c'est-à-dire... Non, je suis... Ah ouais, on est passé 39. On vient de passer 39, du coup, j'imagine. Nice. Mais ouais, on n'est pas encore... Il y a juste Diluc qui a un bon niveau. Pour ceux qui sont arrivés, en gros, même si je suis 39, là, j'ai qu'un seul perso qui est bien. Là, les autres, ils crient. Ils sont en train de crier « Pitié ! Pitié, monte-moi le niveau ! Pitié !» Et en fait, je veux absolument monter Kazuha. Pas dans ce... Eh, non. Montez le niveau de Kazuha. Taisez-vous. Taisez-vous. Je veux absolument monter son niveau, mais pour ça, il me faut les trucs d'un mob qui est là. Et on n'est toujours pas là. Je sais pas si on va y arriver un jour, hein. Qu'est-ce que c'est que ça, du coup? Cerisier sacré. Il est beau. Et c'est comme le truc de Dodo Dragon ou pas? Il y a une espèce d'arbre aussi là-bas, où tu lui donnes des ressources et il est content. Magnifique, superbe. 10 sur 10. Faveur du cerisier sacré. Disponible au niveau 1 de faveur du cerisier sacré. Matériau... Ah! Ah, donc ça n'a rien à voir avec les fleurs de cerisier. Ah! Il faut les mettre ou il y a une autre utilité pour ces trucs-là? Est-ce que c'est good? C'est les pièces dans les coffres, ça? Ouais, on peut donner, hein. On est d'accord, il n'y a pas besoin de les garder pour autre chose, ça. Ça sert qu'à ça. Ils servent qu'à ça, ok, très bien. Très bien. Eh bien. Donc maintenant, qu'est-ce que c'est ça? Matériau d'amélioration d'aptitude. D'accord. D'accord. Électrogranum. Les électrogranums incarnent la faveur des terres d'Inazuma et possèdent de nombreux pouvoirs. Ah bon? Quand un électrogranum vous accompagne, vous bénéficiez de ses pouvoirs tant qu'il est actif. Les personnages peuvent traverser les barrières. Et ils peuvent interagir avec les papillons de foudre. Ok. Il permet de bloquer les dégâts. Ok. Lorsque le personnage déployé est de type électro, est inférieur à égal... Ouais. Oh là 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 là, il y a combien de niveaux là? Combien? 15! Disponible au niveau 47? Au secours. Ah, récompense, c'est ça? Niveau de faveur... Ah! Ah! Ok! Ça nous donne de la résine. Ça, pareil, on m'a dit de ne pas les utiliser avant le niveau, je crois, 45. Oh, et on a 2 vœux gratuits. Ça, c'est sympathique, ça. Ça, c'est sympathique. Vous devez atteindre ce niveau pour voir les récompenses. Combien? Putain, niveau 50 de cerisier. Non mais c'est... Non mais toujours plus. Toujours plus. D'accord. Oh, le farm qu'il faut faire. Ok, donc ça c'est des pièces qu'on a un peu en explorant Inazuma, quoi. Dans tous les coffres, les machins, les trucs. Ouais. Ah, le farm, quoi. Le farm, il va falloir que je farme tous les coffres, tous les machins. Après, moi j'aime bien papillonner, mais... Mais bon. Alors attends, c'est par où? Oh. Oh, oh, oh. Vous l'avez vu? Vous l'avez vu? Moi je l'ai vu. Mais du coup, à quoi servent ces petites pétales de cerisier? C'est pour upgrade des persos? J'imagine? Est-ce qu'on va être trop bas? Non, on va l'avoir. Yes! Non! Je voulais pas faire ça. Je ne voulais pas faire ça. Ok, c'est pour des persos. Est-ce que je peux interagir avec maintenant? Non, on peut pas. On est obligé de tirer dessus avec de l'électricité. À chaque fois. Ok. Ça sert en cuisine et ça sert pour des persos. Ouais, donc dans le doute, vaut mieux que je les prenne parce qu'en fait, si je tombe sur un perso qui a besoin de ça et que je les ai pas, je vais devoir aller farmer ces trucs-là. Donc tant que c'est devant moi, j'imagine. Ok. Eh bien, continuons. Moi, je n'arrête pas le live tant que je peux pas upgrade Kazo. Hein. C'est dit, hein. C'est dit. Donc on retourne en bas. Je vais peut-être live jusque 3h du mat avec cette info, mais bon. Normalement, c'est l'île d'à côté, hein. Normalement, c'est vraiment juste à côté. Bon. Retournons ici. On a fait tes 3 services. Est-ce qu'on peut rencontrer la Shogun Raiden? Comme ça, elle m'amène dans l'île d'à côté. On n'en parle plus. Non.
Coucou.
Merci, Chini. Merci beaucoup pour les 59 mois. Merci. Ok. C'est quoi le gadget? Le petit pet, c'est le... Normalement, tu l'as dans ton courrier. C'est le truc des 4 ans. Ça, cadeau pour un nouvel horizon, nanana, 1 sur 4. Ça te donne 400 primogem et le petit familier. Et je crois que c'est un mail d'aujourd'hui. Ouais, 28 septembre, ouais. 28 septembre. Je pense pas que tu seras aujourd'hui. Non, sérieux? À ce point-là? Non. Attends, c'est terrible. Attends, qu'est-ce qu'on a? On en a eu un de succès, c'est ça? Ça donne combien ce genre de... Ah non, il est juste là, pardon. Merveille du monde. Voilà. Magnifique. Les quêtes sont très longues. Ah, je vois ça, ouais, effectivement. Les quêtes sont très très longues.